Kamusta? And that is how are you in Tagalog, in Filipino, which is where I'm from. I'm really originally from Manila, Philippines. A lot of my poetry actually thinks about the contrasts and the differences and also the intersections of two different countries that is surrounded and separated by an ocean. And the poetry collection that I'm working on is called A Geography of Natural Hazards. And it has some parts that would have wildfires, parts that are about landslides, about the monsoons, and then a later part which I will talk about. So in 2016, when I first arrived here, now you know how long I've been doing my PhD. I lived here in Woodhaven. And a lot of these poems were written here in Woodhaven. A lot of these poems actually mention or actually will talk about Woodhaven. And while I was preparing, I thought about fire and water. And coming from a place of water, so much water, floods, landslides, and ocean. I love the ocean. Coming here in 2017 was the first experience I've had with a wildfire. And there was a day I remember going up to the university where I could not see anything. It was so dark and the sun was an eerie red. And I thought it was the end of the world. I have never seen anything like that. And so the first two poems that I'm going to read are a response to that experience. And this was published in Unbound. It's a collection of poetry from the journal Asterix Journal from the University of Pittsburgh. I did not know they were publishing the poems here. I just sort of was like, oh, sure, yay. I'd like to be published in your journal. And then they collected it here. And this is how unprepared I am. I lost my pages of my poems in this book because I was like, oh, I have so many things to do. Oh yes, I'm actually reading poetry tomorrow, so I should be prepared, but I wasn't. Okay. So this first poem is called It's Been 3 months Since the Last Drop of Rain. 1. The seagulls circle the empty parking lot, thinking gravel can melt into liquid. A thin squirrel carries a dry nut across a field, its body crouching in greed. Grass has become painfully dry, paper brown silhouettes sticking up to the heat. Noisy magpies pecked at food forgotten on the courtyard, sneering at the shiny ravens. 2. My skin is mutinous, lost in a terrain that it has never thought existed. It lusts for the 9 days of drought and 9 days of water, so much water, which cleansed stray dogs on the street. Once I saw them swim in the flood. The yowling cats were quieted, their arrogance stomped on by the thunderstorms. And the Maya birds, when light seeped through banana trees, sang from their bellies. 3. Yet, when the clouds roared and gaped at our thirst, they unleashed a familiar rhythm. It doesn't change. The scent of the land's exhale when it again tastes the tang of rain. That first drip on the arid grass still brings the birds to sing. And when I close my eyes, I'm certain that no time has passed. My skin has stretched across an ocean, and I'm here and there both. I just want to secure this before anything happens. I don't have any other copies of those. No. The second poem is called The Turning, and it's about finding somebody and then feeling a rapture during a very short amount of time and kind of feeling that rapture while the world is burning around you. So this is Turning. Orchards spray putrid fruits from dehydrated trees. Smoke won't let up. The sun fashions an eerie orange eye. Fruit flies buzz outside buildings, stick to sweaty skins. A fat one slithered in my room. Not even the cat paws it. My eyes water, a remnant of the Pisces moon, or perhaps this valley is finally getting to me. My chest hums, an overinflated balloon. I have yet to sleep since the morning you left. Rest is possible only when I can again see mountains. The next fire may be too close, and the sirens keep me awake. I fear waking up in a bed of flames, this same bed, no way out, begging to see you one last time. I still have everything here, except for you. Haze persists and the sun raptures, but there will be above all ruin, sharing sunset, kissing in woods, picking cherries. So this poem, I wrote this for those who bust here. I admire you because I did that for 8 months, and before I actually drove, and that's a long bus ride. And I was telling some of you just how this area has changed. Now they have a bridge going to Gordon. Back then, when I was living here, there was no bridge, so we had to walk all the way down Raymer, and then that little bridge there, and that's how you get to the 17 bus. Um, so my degree is actually kind of bookended with grief, and one of the poems that I've written is for my dad, and this poem was published in World Literature today. It's not a poem that I like reading. I've only read it once in my life, and I'm very, well, not excited, but I feel like I need to read this here to offer it to Woodhaven because it's been very good to me. So this is called As We Please for Benjamin, 2016. The banana tree swayed as you fell from it. Nothing new there. You fell from aging mango trees before. Once, you even fell into open sewage in front of a heritage church, then ran into incoming traffic, sweating away whatever demon perched on your shoulder. But that day, when you fell, it was a 40 degrees Celsius afternoon. Even the Maya bird stopped singing. The stray dogs curled up under stagnant cars on the street lazy. You insisted on picking the banana's heart, a penultimate moment before the large red flower blossoms, so you can serve banana heart salad that night. With your bolo, you climbed the tree, and in that climb, the world stopped for you and for me. You fell with your eyes open, dryly staring up at the equator sun, this sun we've known all our lives, and accepting its betrayal. There will be no banana heart salad tonight, nor will there be another 40-degree afternoon. I thought about that image of you during that awful winter. As I walked on plowed sidewalks, I could see a banana tree in the near distance, and your triumphant grin as you cut away the heart. You drop it on a pile of snow, and I pick it up. Dinner's ready, you say. Set the table. Oh, but Dad, where is home in all this cold? So the last two poems I'm going to read were written a couple of weeks ago when I was staying here for a de-stressing retreat after my dissertation. And this is a response to the landslides on the Coquihalla and thinking about just what people were finding now that they're clearing everything up. And yeah, this is called Motherless, written in 2022. The Coquihalla was washed away by an atmospheric river late last year. The crews worked round the clock to temporarily repair the highway until it was passable, gradually until it could take the weight of a 12-wheeler. This spring, as permanent repairs begin in some parts of the highway, crews began to discover snippets of the lives before the flooding. Walls of houses, waterlogged cars, wet clothes, dead animals, all keepsakes of lives before the river's descent. Soon, the highway will be passable. Soon, the highway will burn and water bombers will fly above Tinderland to saturate it with warm water. How does one behave motherless? For the first time in years, smoking, wafting ashes into the wind, late July, desiring to throw my body against a speeding car downhill, kissing lips that are not mine anymore, but it is pitch black, climbing up the highway thinking I can go faster than 110. Instead, I burn oil. It stings my nose. Dropped on the edges of embers, this region I can't breathe, can't find home. This mouth searches for a break under fire to gasp for you. I hold onto splintering branch. Smoldering, our valley is washed away. This ground is sinking, but I think I can make it out alive. For a brief second, there is light. So I think the heart of the collection, which is I think also the most difficult thing to write, are counter cartographies. So I've started this process of writing poetry on top of maps, and I don't have one for Kelowna yet. Kelowna has not spoken to me yet, and maybe it will the next couple of months. But I've started looking at maps and thinking about what lives underneath, what's not being told in maps, and what's missing, what's invisible. And I wrote a poem about migration. And migration is important to me. Obviously, I'm an immigrant, but also because I think about where were the first Asians in this province? Where were the first Asians in this country? How did we cross the ocean? How did we cross these bridges? So I'm just going to briefly show it. This is in the shape of Vancouver Island. I hope it looks like it. Yeah. And this is called the First 50. The first recorded Chinese presence in BC was in 1788, when 50 Chinese workers and sailors were hired to work at a British trading post in Nootka Sound on Vancouver Island. But it was not until 1858, when gold was found in the Fraser River, that the first major migration of Chinese people came to British Columbia. Like so many other gold seekers from Europe and the Americas, most Chinese planned on staying only long enough to earn money to send back to their families in China. In the end, many stayed in BC for longer than expected. That is a text from the website of the Royal BC Museum called Early Chinese Canadian Experiences in British Columbia. Emerging from salt water to leave behind murkiness that swallowed rice fields and crops, which dried up before they became useful. How did their sea legs anchor for the first time on this island? Did they anticipate to be surrounded in what has plagued them all their lives? Did they find the ground steady enough to think about lives and livelihood, maybe a future? Did they stare into the blue-green eyes of white folks and think, I can be you, but better? Or looked away from natives who wished to trade for fur? When gold was declared from some creek that was not theirs, did they anchor their uprooted lives on this island, trusting it somehow welcomes them? Perhaps the future was tastier than gold, a hint of home. Maraming salamat. Thank you so much. In Tagalog, when we say goodbye to our friends and our loved ones, we say ingat, which means take care. So ingat, everyone. Thank you.